welcome to this remote episode of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. I'm Wade Mathews, the Be Ready Utah manager here at the Utah Division of Emergency Management. And as you can see, joining me today is Bryan Stinson, our resident
Howdy.
emergency preparedness expert and outreach specialist here at Be Ready Utah. Bryan, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
It looks like we're going to have some fun today on this episode of the PrepCast. We are talking about emergency cooking.
Yeah, this is the first one that we've done outside, so this is kind of exciting. We're talking about cooking. The question is, why is cooking part of emergency preparedness? That's something that a lot of people don't make the connection there. If something happens, I'll just open up a can of tuna fish. Why do I need to cook? And that's a good point. You know, if it's a short-term something, maybe you don't need to cook anything. You can just do that can of tuna or eat your can of chili beans cold. But after a certain period of time, your body's going to need something more substantial. So you're going to want to be able to cook. You're going to want to be able to have some means of preparing and heating your food to make it safe. Some food, like some of your poultry, some of your things that might be in the freezer. If the freezer's going out, you might need to be able to cook to preserve those.
Right.
Other
And
things.
as you
Go
said,
ahead.
we do need to eat. We know we can live without water for not more than 3 or 4 days, and we can't live without food for more than like 3 or 4 weeks tops. We
Right.
start losing energy and we start getting sick, and we've got to make sure we eat. So having that food storage is important. We talk about food storage all the time. Now we're going to talk about how do we prepare that food storage. But first of all, Bryan,
Exactly.
let's talk a little bit about the safety. So definitely we want to be safe when we're doing these things.
Okay. Well, it's just some basic safety things. Whenever you've got an open flame or a source of heat, what do? You need to have a way of putting out that kind of heat if it turns into a flame, or if it's a flame that you're cooking with, you still need to have a means of keeping that under control. So have water, have a fire extinguisher. I mean, just offset, we've got a hose that's ready to go in case something goes a little squampus here. But safety is always important. Another thing you want to think about for safety is protecting your skin. For today, I've just got some inexpensive welding gloves. These work great for when you're dealing with things like charcoal and flames over a campfire. So a means of protecting your hands. And that being said, when you're cooking, whether it's during an emergency or even just at home, make sure that you're using short sleeves. You don't want to have anything that can come in contact with flammable liquids, with a flame, anything, and catch yourself on fire. Of course, if you do stop, drop, and roll, you want to get that flame out as fast as possible. But those are just some of the things you want to think about. Keep anything flammable away from your heat sources, again, during an emergency or during any time. Keep your pot handles turned in so that they can't accidentally be knocked off. If you've got a hot pot or a hot pot full of something liquidy or grease or something really hot, you can get severe scalding and burns that way. So those are just
Right.
some safety tips that you always want to think about whenever you're cooking.
And you talked about personal protective equipment, or PPE, and the gloves. Well, I want to point out you're looking pretty hot out there, Bryan, you know, in that sunshine. Yeah.
Awesome. You're not looking too bad yourself, even though
Uh,
you just look like a phone.
Thank you. But you got your sunglasses on, and we're going to be talking about some solar cooking, and that could be really damaging to
Yeah,
your eyes if you're not careful about that. So the sunglasses aren't just to be cool. You're actually protecting your eyes as well.
exactly. We're going to be talking about sun oven cooking. The cool thing about solar ovens is it requires zero fuel. All you need is the sun. So you don't have to have anything stored. I like to think about this as it's great for any time, but if you have limited amounts of fuel, whether it's propane or charcoal or wood, this is something that really lets you stretch out your fuels. So we'll be
Right.
talking a little bit about solar ovens and solar cooking today.
And
We'll also, okay, go ahead.
yeah, one last thing as far as kind of some safety. You wanted to talk a little bit about safety inside.
Oh
Inside,
yeah, inside.
I thought inside the house, or safety
Oh,
inside.
some of those things that we talked about is, make, again, whether it's pot holders or something
Okay.
like this. Make sure you're not burning yourself. And we talked about turning the pot handles in,
Right.
making sure children, that's the one I didn't mention, children at least 3 feet away from your cooking area. That helps protect them as well.
Okay.
Was there any other things that you were thinking of?
Right. Yeah. So just, ventilation. If we're cooking inside, when we
Okay.
have propane, and if you don't necessarily want to have charcoal, those types of things, depending on what your
Gotcha.
situation is. If you are inside, ventilation is going to be very important if you're using these methods of cooking. Anyway,
Okay.
so let's
No,
take.
totally. And I'll just never bring something like this inside. There are very few things that are safe to cook inside. And we will be talking about some of those things that are safe to use inside. So yeah, that's something. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't think about that safety as well. But charcoal, propane, these kinds of things, you never use them inside.
Right. Okay, Bryan, let's take a wide view here of what our
Okay.
setup is today.
So the whole set here.
Yeah, let's take a wide view, and then we'll show everybody what we've got coming up, and we'll take a quick break and come back to you. What are we going to come back to next?
Well, let's start off with just some of the we talked about cooking inside. Let's talk about cooking inside and some small backpacking kinds of stove. So yeah, we talked about solar. We're going to be talking about inside cooking. We'll be talking about charcoal cooking, propane and gas grills. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do if you're in a difficult situation and you need to prepare some food.
All right, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. We're going to just take a quick break here to get set up for the next segment, and we'll be right back.
Hey, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be Ready Utah PrepCast. Comment or reply to us on Twitter or Facebook at Be Ready Utah with hashtag BRUPrepCast or in the comments on YouTube. Don't forget to share these videos with your family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers, because anytime is a good time to talk about emergency preparedness.